Welcome back to my channel, as we dive deep into the stunning revelation that has rocked the WWE Universe to its very core, a moment so shocking that it has rewritten everything we thought we knew about loyalty, brotherhood, and betrayal inside the squared circle. What happens when the man who hid behind the mask finally steps into the light and explains the reasons behind what is now being called the most shocking betrayal in WWE history? What if the lunatic fringe never lost his mind at all, but instead followed a dark, calculated philosophy that changes the way you will look at Survivor Series forever? Dean Ambrose has finally broken his silence and spoken openly about why he turned his back on his own brothers, and the truth he revealed has left fans around the world stunned and divided. The WWE Universe has been in a state of shock ever since the mysterious masked attacker at Survivor Series War Games was unmasked and revealed to be none other than Dean Ambrose, the man who once stood shoulder to shoulder with Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins as part of one of the most dominant factions in WWE history. His brutal attack on CM Punk and the devastating cost it imposed on Roman Reigns' team was not just an act of violence, it was a symbolic destruction of the bond that once defined the Shield. For weeks, speculation spread like wildfire through locker rooms, social media, and living rooms alike as fans and superstars alike tried to make sense of what could drive a former brother-in-arms to commit such an unforgivable act. Rumors flew about money, power, manipulation by Paul Heyman, and secret agendas, but no explanation truly satisfied the magnitude of what had happened. Tonight, however, the man at the center of the storm finally chose to step forward and tell his side of the story, not with chaos or rage, but with a chilling calm that made his words cut even deeper. The task before Dean Ambrose was not simply to explain himself, but to attempt the impossible, to justify an act that many consider beyond forgiveness. How could he possibly rationalize attacking not only his former brothers, but the very idea of brotherhood itself? What reasoning could ever make the betrayal of years of shared struggles, victories, bloodshed, and loyalty seem acceptable in any mind? As Ambrose stood alone in the center of the ring, the familiar wild look in his eyes was still there, but it was now layered with something far more unsettling, a cold, deliberate focus that suggested every move he had made was part of a larger, carefully crafted truth in his own mind. When he finally spoke, the arena fell silent. "You all want to know why," he said, his tone uncomfortably steady. "You think this was about money, about promises whispered in my ear by Paul Heyman, about some huge plan to climb higher in this business?" He paused and slowly shook his head, a faint, unsettling smile creeping across his face. This was about the truth. The truth that Roman's idea of family is a lie. The truth that Seth's vision of unity is nothing more than a fantasy people cling to because they are afraid to stand alone. As his voice grew stronger, Ambrose declared that he never truly betrayed Roman at all. In his mind, he had set him free. He claimed that by tearing down everything Roman believed in, he had shown him that blood means nothing in this industry, that brotherhood is just a word people use to control you, to keep you dependent, to keep you weak. "The only real family in this business," Ambrose said, "is the one you choose for yourself." And in the end, he chose only himself. This explanation revealed a terrifying evolution in Dean Ambrose's philosophy. The man who once defined himself through loyalty, through standing beside his brothers no matter the cost, had now completely flipped that belief on its head. To him, loyalty was no longer a virtue but a flaw, a vulnerability that others could exploit. What made his words even more disturbing was the way he framed his betrayal as an act of liberation instead of destruction. In his twisted view, tearing apart Roman Reigns' team was not an act of cruelty, but a harsh lesson meant to open his eyes to what Ambrose believes is the true nature of the WWE world. He presented himself not as a traitor, but as a teacher using the most brutal method possible to impart his truth. According to Ambrose, true strength does not come from standing together, from trusting others, or from believing in shared bonds. True strength, in his mind, comes from standing completely alone, owing nothing to anyone, and trusting no one but yourself. This belief directly clashes with everything the Shield once represented. Where Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins have come to symbolize unity, resilience, and brotherhood forged through adversity, Dean Ambrose now positions himself as the only one strong enough to accept what he sees as the cold reality of this business, that in the end, everyone is alone, and survival belongs only to those who rely solely on themselves. This creates a new and deeply unsettling dynamic in WWE. The conflict is no longer just about championships, main events, or victories inside the ring. It has evolved into a battle of ideologies, a clash between those who believe in shared purpose and those who believe that belief itself is a weakness. Ambrose's words force everyone to question what they truly stand for in a world where alliances shift, power corrupts, and loyalty can become a liability. The fallout from this revelation is only beginning, and its impact will be felt for months, if not years, to come. Roman Reigns is now left to grapple with the idea that his concept of family has been publicly torn apart by someone he once called a brother. Seth Rollins must face the possibility that the vision of unity he fought so hard to build may no longer be enough to hold back the growing shadow of individualism and betrayal. The locker room itself is now divided not just by rivalries but by belief systems, each superstar forced to ask whether they truly stand with others or merely alongside them until it is no longer convenient. What makes Ambrose's explanation so compelling and so frightening is that it cannot be easily dismissed as madness alone. There is a cold logic embedded in his words, a philosophy that reflects the ruthless reality of the industry, where friendships can end in an instant and today's ally can become tomorrow's enemy. By framing his betrayal as an act of truth rather than treachery, he challenges the very moral foundation on which so many superstars build their careers. Some fans now see him as a villain beyond redemption, a man who destroyed something sacred for no reason but selfish gain. Others, however reluctantly, are beginning to see the disturbing sense in his argument, acknowledging that the WWE landscape has always rewarded those who put themselves above all else. This moral ambiguity is what makes this moment so powerful and unforgettable. Dean Ambrose is no longer just a former member of the Shield or a chaotic wildcard. He is transformed into a symbol of a darker philosophy, one that questions whether brotherhood can truly survive in a business built on competition, ego, and ambition. His actions have forced the entire WWE Universe to confront uncomfortable questions about trust, loyalty, and the price of success. Was the Shield always destined to fall apart? Was their brotherhood real, or was it simply an illusion sustained until ambition finally shattered it? Ambrose believes it was always an illusion, and his betrayal was